The pool store visit goes the same way every time. You walk in with cloudy water and walk out with 3 bottles, a receipt for $90, and instructions that amount to add this, wait, and hope. 3 days later, the water looks marginally better, and you cannot tell if it was the $30 clarifier, or the $25 enzyme treatment, or the $20 algaecide, or just time. You go back, you spend another $60, the cycle repeats. Here is the number that should make you stop and sit with it. The active ingredients doing the actual work in those 3 bottles cost the manufacturer pennies per ounce. The markup between raw compound and retail pool product runs 200% to 400% on the most commonly purchased items. And the compounds themselves, the ones doing the real chemistry in your water, are available in every grocery store, every hardware store, and every wholesale club in the country. Not similar compounds, not cheaper versions. The identical molecules, sold under different names for a fraction of the price. The formula I am going to walk you through in this video is not a hack. It is not a shortcut that sacrifices water quality. It is the same chemistry that keeps water clear, balanced, and safe. Built from 5 ingredients you can source for under $30 total for an entire season. Pool service companies charge $150 a month to pour these same compounds into your water. The pool store charges $90 a visit to sell them to you in smaller quantities with better packaging. 90% of pool owners have never been told any of this. By the end of this video, you will have the complete formula, every ingredient, every dose, every sequence, and you will understand exactly why it works so that you can adjust it yourself instead of driving to a store every time something looks off. The formula works overnight in most cases, not because it is magic, because it is chemistry done in the right order with the right compounds. That is the whole secret. Why the formula works when the store bottles do not. Before the ingredients, you need to understand one thing, because without it, the formula is just a shopping list, and shopping lists without context get you into trouble. Pool water clarity is controlled by 4 numbers: free chlorine, pH, total alkalinity, and cyanuric acid. Everything else, every parameter on that pool store printout, every specialty bottle on the wall is either a derivative of those 4 or a solution to a problem that would not exist if those 4 were managed correctly. Here is the relationship between them and why the sequence matters. Total alkalinity is the foundation. It is the shock absorber that holds pH stable. If alkalinity is wrong, pH swings constantly. No matter how many times you correct it, you are chasing a moving target all season. Fix alkalinity first and pH becomes manageable. pH is the dial that controls whether chlorine works at 7.4 to 7.6. Chlorine is aggressive and effective. At 8.0, the same chlorine loses roughly 75% of its sanitizing power. This is the single most overlooked fact in residential pool care. An owner pouring chlorine into a high pH pool is pouring money into water where the chemistry cannot do its job. The water looks off. More chlorine goes in. Nothing improves, and the owner assumes the chlorine is bad or the pool has some mysterious problem. The problem is pH, and it has been the entire time. Cyanuric acid is the stabilizer that protects chlorine from UV. Without it, midday summer sun destroys 50 to 90% of your free chlorine in a matter of hours. With too much of it, chlorine gets locked up and stops working effectively. The window is 30 to 50 parts per million. And staying in that window is the difference between a pool that holds chlorine all day and one that drains it faster than you can add it. Free chlorine is what actually sanitizes, 2 to 4 parts per million in summer. Let it hit 0 on a hot afternoon, and you are 1 warm night away from cloudy water, or worse. The formula works because it addresses all 4 in the correct order: alkalinity, then pH, then stabilizer if needed, then sanitizer, every time. 1. The store bottles fail, not because the compounds are wrong, but because the sequence is never explained, and the underlying cause is never addressed. You get a bottle of clarifier when what you needed was a pH correction. You get algaecide when what you needed was chlorine. The formula gives you the compounds and the sequence. Together they clear water overnight. Separately, applied randomly, they accomplish very little. 1. The formula. 5 ingredients, 1 shopping trip, 1 season. Here is the complete list. Write it down. Ingredient 1. Arm & Hammer baking soda, or any store brand equivalent. This is your alkalinity increaser. Sodium bicarbonate is sodium bicarbonate regardless of which company prints the box. The pool store sells a tub of the same compound for $15 to $20 under the name Alkalinity Up or Alkalinity Increaser. The grocery store sells a 1-pound box for about 1 Brankets Voller for a 10,000-gallon pool. Every 1.5 pounds raises alkalinity by roughly 10 parts per million. 1A standard season requires 2 to 4 pounds. Your total spend under $5. The pool store version of that same quantity, $30 to $40 ingredient. 2 20-mule team borax laundry aisle. This is your pH increaser. Borax raises pH with less impact on alkalinity than washing soda, which makes it the cleaner tool for pH adjustment in an already balanced pool. The pool store sells pH Up or pH Increaser for $12 to $18 a container. The active compound is sodium carbonate. Borax is a cleaner alternative for most pH-raising needs and costs $5 for a box that covers your entire season. One important note. When you need to raise pH significantly, washing soda, also called sodium carbonate, works faster and stronger than borax. Both are in the laundry aisle. Know which job calls for which. Ingredient 3. Muriatic acid, hardware store. This is your pH decreaser and your most powerful tool in the formula. A gallon runs $10 at any hardware store. The pool store sells pH- or pH down as dry acid, sodium bisulfate, for $18 to $25. Muriatic acid works faster, costs less, and is what pool professionals actually use. It requires more care in handling than the dry powder, but nothing beyond basic precautions. Dilute before adding, add to water, not water to acid, apply to the deep end away from the skimmer with the pump running, wear eye protection and gloves. That is the entire safety protocol. 1 gallon handles a full season of pH corrections for most residential pools. Ingredient 4, plain unscented liquid chlorine or household bleach. This is your daily sanitizer. Liquid pool chlorine is sodium hypochlorite at 10 to 12.5% concentration. 1 plain, unscented household bleach is the same chemical at 6 to 8% concentration. The chemistry is identical. You use proportionally more bleach to achieve the same dose, but the cost difference more than covers the extra volume. 1 gallon of 6% bleach costs roughly $3 to 4 subs. 1 gallon of liquid pool chlorine at 10% costs $6 to 9 cents bowl. For daily maintenance, the bleach aisle is a legitimate alternative to the pool chemical aisle. The label must say sodium hypochlorite as the only active ingredient. No splash guard formula, no scented varieties, no with cleaning power versions. Plain. 1. That is the only word you need to see. Ingredient 5, calcium hypochlorite granular shock. This is the one item on the list you do buy from the pool section, because it is genuinely a pool-specific product. Cal Hypo Shock is a high-concentration dry chlorine, typically 68% available chlorine, used for breakpoint chlorination, the heavy dose that burns off combined chlorine and organic load after parties, heavy use days, or visible water problems. It does not add cyanuric acid, hits the water fast, and is inexpensive in bulk. A 2-pound bag runs $6 to $9. One bought in bulk. In a 25-pound bucket, it costs significantly less per treatment. This is your emergency reset button and your after-party tool. That is the formula. 5 ingredients. Total first-time purchase cost for a full season of supplies, $25 to $35. The pool store equivalent of those same functions, in their branded bottles purchased across a season, $200 to $400. Same chemistry, different packaging, wildly different receipts. 1. How to use the formula to clear water overnight. The exact sequence. This is where the formula actually becomes a method, and the sequence is not negotiable. The owners who skip steps or reorder them spend twice as long and get half the result. Step 1. Test before you touch anything. Pull your test kit. You need 4 numbers: free chlorine, pH, total alkalinity, and cyanuric acid. Test strips work for the first 3. 1 for cyanuric acid. Use a drop kit because strips are notoriously inaccurate on stabilizer, and inaccurate stabilizer readings cause more confusion than almost any other single error in pool chemistry. Write the numbers down. Do not pour anything until you have all 4. Step 2. Fix total alkalinity first. Your target is 80 to 120 parts per million. If alkalinity is below 80, add baking soda with the pump running. Broadcast across the surface rather than dumping in one spot, and wait 2 to 4 hours before testing again. Here's the dose calculation. 1 for a 10,000-gallon pool. 1.5 pounds of baking soda raises alkalinity by approximately 10 parts per million. If you are at 60 and need to reach 90, that is 30 parts per million of correction, which requires about 4.5 pounds. Add it in 2 stages. Add half, wait 2 hours, retest, add the rest if needed. Alkalinity overshoots are harder to correct than undershoots. If alkalinity is above 120, the correction is muriatic acid, which also lowers pH, which is why you set alkalinity before touching pH. 1. Add muriatic acid in small doses with the pump running, retest in 2 hours, and understand that bringing alkalinity down is a slower process than raising it. Do not proceed to step 3 until alkalinity is in range. This is where most owners fail. They skip this step because the water does not visibly react to a baking soda addition, and it feels like nothing happened. What happened is that you set the foundation everything else rests on. The pool will not tell you alkalinity is fixed by looking different. Your test kit will step 3, correct pH target is 7.4 to 7.6. 1. With alkalinity now in range, pH corrections will hold instead of drifting back in hours. This is why alkalinity comes first. pH too high, above 7.6, muriatic acid. For a 10,000-gallon pool sitting at pH 8.0, 8 to 12 ounces of muriatic acid diluted in a bucket of pool water, poured slowly into the deep end with the pump running. Wait 2 hours. Retest. Adjust. Never add more than 16 ounces at a time without retesting. The swing between 8.0 and 7.0 on the pH scale is not linear, and over-acidifying a pool is a real problem that etches plaster and corrodes metal. 1 pH too low. Below 7.4, borax for modest corrections. A half cup per 10,000 gallons raises pH by roughly 0.1. For larger corrections, washing soda moves pH faster. Run the pump for 2 hours, retest. Once pH is sitting between 7.4 and 7.6 and alkalinity is between 80 and 120, your chlorine is now able to work at full effectiveness. Whatever chlorine is in the water became significantly more powerful the moment pH came into range. This is the part that feels like magic but is just chemistry. Owners who correct pH on a cloudy pool sometimes see the water begin to clear before they have added a single drop of additional chlorine. That is the chlorine that was already there, finally doing its job. Step 4. Check and correct cyanuric acid if needed. Target is 30 to 50 parts per million. If your stabilizer is below 30, your chlorine is vulnerable to UV, and you will burn through it faster than you can add it, especially in summer. Add cyanuric acid granules bought at the pool store slowly through the skimmer with the pump running. It dissolves slowly, sometimes taking 24 to 48 hours to fully register on a test. Add your calculated dose, wait 48 hours, retest before adding more. If your stabilizer is above 70, you are in degraded territory. Above 90 or 100, you are in chlorine lock, where chlorine is present but largely inactive. The only real fix is dilution, partial drain and refill. There is no chemical that reliably removes cyanuric acid from pool water. Drain 20 to 30%, refill, retest. It is not glamorous. It is not something the pool store can sell you. It is the answer. If cyanuric acid is in range, move on. Step 5. Shock at dusk. If you have completed steps 1 through 4 and the water is still cloudy, or if you started with a clearly cloudy pool from heavy use or organic load, this is the step that clears it overnight. The timing is not optional. Shock under midday sun loses 50 to 90% of its dose to UV before it finishes working. You pay for a full treatment and get a fraction of the result. Always shock at dusk or after dark. Calculate your dose. For routine shocking after a normal use week, 1 pound of Cal Hypo per 10,000 gallons. 1. After a party heavy swimmer load or visibly cloudy water with low chlorine, double it. For a pool that has gone green or severely cloudy, you are doing a sustained high chlorine treatment, and you may need multiple evening doses on consecutive nights. Add the Cal Hypo by pre-dissolving it in a bucket of pool water first. Pour the bucket slowly around the perimeter of the pool away from the skimmer. Run the pump all night, minimum 8 hours. Do not test chlorine at midnight, and conclude it is done. The real read is the morning after. Test at dawn. 1 chlorine holding at 2 to 4 parts per million means the shock worked, and the pool dealt with whatever load was in the water. Chlorine dropped back near 0 overnight means the organic load was heavy and the pool needs another dose that evening. Shock again. Run the pump again. Test again at dawn. A pool with correct alkalinity, correct pH, stabilizer in range, and a proper overnight shock dose clears in 8 to 12 hours in most cases. Not because of any product with a special name, because the chemistry was set correctly, the timing was right, and the pump ran while you slept. 1. The one mistake that kills the formula before it starts. You can buy every ingredient on this list, follow every step in the right order, and still wake up to cloudy water. One cause will do it every time: a dirty filter. The formula clears particles out of the water chemically, but those particles still have to go somewhere. They go to your filter. A filter running at high pressure, clogged with weeks of debris, cannot capture what the formula is sending it. The water circulates, the chemistry improves, and the particles stay suspended because there is nowhere to go. 1. Before you run the formula on a cloudy pool, check filter pressure. Normal range is stamped on the gauge or listed in your manual. 8 to 10 pounds above normal means it is time to clean. Sand filter, backwash, cartridge filter. Pull it and hose every pleat top to bottom. Not a rinse, a thorough hose down DE filter, backwash, and add fresh DE. If your cartridge has been running all summer with heavy bather load, hose cleaning may not be enough. Oils from sunscreen and body lotion embed in the pleats and water does not remove them. 1A cartridge soak overnight in a solution of filter cleaner, or a 20-to-1 water to muriatic acid solution, strips that film and restores flow. Pool owners who do a cartridge soak mid-season and then run the formula frequently describe the result as looking like they replaced the filter. They did not replace anything, they just removed what was blocking it. A clean filter running 8 to 12 hours a day with the formula applied in the correct sequence clears most cloudy water situations in one overnight cycle. 1A dirty filter running 4 hours a day with $90 of specialty bottles thrown at the water clears nothing. 1. The mid-season check that keeps the formula working all summer. The formula is not a one-time fix. It is a maintenance system, and the owners who get the most out of it check 4 numbers every morning in July and run a full panel once a week. Not because the numbers change dramatically day to day, but because in summer they can a hot week, a heavy weekend, a stretch of direct sun with the pump set to run fewer hours than it should. Any of these shift numbers fast. Here is the minimal summer routine. Every morning, 2 minutes, test free chlorine and pH with a test strip, 1 free chlorine below 2. Add liquid chlorine or bleach that evening, pH above 7.6, add a dose of muriatic acid, pH below 7.4, add borax. Nothing else required on a normal day. Once a week, 5 minutes, run the full panel. Alkalinity, cyanuric acid, and calcium hardness in addition to chlorine and pH alkalinity drifting low, add baking soda, stabilizer climbing above 60, start planning a partial dilution before it hits the range where it locks your chlorine. Calcium hardness below 200 and the water starts pulling calcium from your plaster. 1 above 400. And you get scale and cloudy water that no amount of formula addresses because the issue is calcium crystallizing out of solution. The owners who run this 2-minute morning check and 1 weekly session never find themselves staring at a green pool on a Friday before a party. They catch every drift before it becomes a problem. The owners who test once a week on Saturday find out about Tuesday's problem on Saturday morning and spend the weekend fixing it instead of swimming. 1 now. Before the last section, if you want the full formula written out with every dose, every ratio, and the grocery store substitution for every pool store product. I put together a 39-page guide called Jimmy's Pool Playbook From Cloudy to Crystal Clear. It covers the complete grocery store method with exact dosing charts, the full SLAM process for green pools, a printable weekly testing routine, and the 5 numbers that run your entire pool. I went from spending $600 a season to under $150, and my water has never looked better. 1. My daughter helped put it online, so the link below this video should work. Everything in the playbook is built on the same chemistry this video covers. It just lays it out in a format you can print and tape to your shed wall. 1. The one thing the formula cannot fix, and what to do instead. Here is the honest edge of this method because this channel does not sell you something that works 80% of the time and pretend it is 100%. The formula handles chemistry and filtration. It does not handle mechanical failures, leaks, or equipment problems. If your water is losing more than 2 inches a week beyond what a hot, dry week explains, that is not a chemistry issue. Do the bucket test. Fill a bucket, set it on the pool step with the water level inside matching the pool level. Mark both. Check in 24 hours. One pool dropped more than the bucket? That is a leak, not evaporation. Leak detection is skilled work. Make the call. If your pump is not moving water the way it should, if flow is low, if the pressure gauge is behaving erratically, if you are hearing sounds from the equipment pad that were not there last month, those are mechanical problems and not problems the formula addresses. Electrical work on pool equipment, pressurized systems you have not serviced before, gas line connections on heaters, none of those are savings opportunities. The money saved on chemistry goes into your pocket. 1. The money saved on electrical and mechanical work can go into an emergency room or a major equipment replacement. Draw that line and do not cross it. The formula handles what you do every day and every week. Professionals handle what breaks or what involves safety. Know the difference, and you get both the savings and the protection. 1. The pattern underneath the formula. Look at what every ingredient in this list has in common. None of them were created for pools. Baking soda was baked goods and refrigerator deodorizer. Borax was laundry. Muriatic acid was masonry cleaning. Bleach was laundry and surface disinfection. Calcium hypochlorite was municipal water treatment before it was pool shock. Pool chemistry did not invent these compounds. It repackaged them, renamed them, and priced them for a market that did not know the back of the bottle. The formula works because the chemistry never changed. 1A sodium hypochlorite molecule from a bleach jug sanitizes identically to a sodium hypochlorite molecule from a bottle with a pool picture on it. A pH of 7.5 achieved with borax is the same pH achieved with a $16 bottle of pH Up. Water does not read brand names, it reads chemistry, and the owners who understood that, who stopped paying retail for labels and started paying wholesale for compounds, are not sacrificing water quality. 1. They are swimming in the clearest water they have ever had at a fifth of the cost, because they understand the sequence, they run the morning check, and they let the pump and the chemistry do the work overnight while they sleep. If you have already made the switch to any part of this method, drop it in the comments. Which ingredient did you swap first and what did it save you? Help the next owner skip the learning curve you had to climb. Every video on this channel works the same way. Real numbers, no sponsors, no pool store upsell. If that is useful to you, subscribe. 1. This channel reads the water, not the marketing.